Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Deb and Sean show for the GCR, everything GCR, and the Great Shift. And today we have a show. This is our show 6. The date, the dates are in the States, it's January 3rd, and in Australia is January 4th. Today's show title is Transitioning from Final Countdown of REE Exchanges to New Earth Creation Details. And Sean, you want to say hi?
Hello, everyone.
So that is Sean Michael, and I am Deborah Peach, and we are here today live with you. We're going to be opening up the call lines. A little bit of housekeeping is that if you do come on the queue, the Q&A queue, that you speak your first name, and for privacy reasons, please keep your last name private. And if you want to share where you're calling from, that is great as well. To be aware that this recording will be shared publicly, and that anything that you share is basically out there in the public. So have your own discernment regarding that. And that as Sean, you had an awesome rockin' show last week.
Yeah, it went pretty well. We had a lot of great callers, a lot of good questions, and we went for 3 hours. Wow.
You did. You did a marathon.
Yep.
So I worked him while you were gone, Deb.
What's that?
I said I worked him while you were gone.
It sounds like it.
Yes, you did, Jennifer. Yep.
I got a text message from him afterwards, and he was like, "I'm whipped." Maybe he actually meant I'm wiped out. All right, so as we get started here on the show here, we really do want you guys to engage, and that there are quite a few callers on already live, and that we're really appreciative that you guys are participating, that you're engaging, and that as you are preparing yourself to be the post-GCR being, that you are engaging with all those details, not only the pragmatic details, but also the visioning. And that's what we really would like to begin to move into with this call today. And if you're a part of the community that we have started, and what we're now having people really engage with over the last 3 days, is to share your vision of what you as an individual is intending to create and to engage with, and then also what you are holding space for this planet. Because we know that this GCR is a representation of a transition for the evolution of humanity, and that with the redistribution of the money, the redistribution of wealth and prosperity, that there are many of us that have been, I will say, waiting in the wings and in the sidelines in order to bring forth our life purpose and our missions and our heart's desires. And that the more that we engage as a collective of this GCR occurring, and the post and the after GCR, after the exchanges and whatnot, that the more that we will actually anchor that. And so, Sean, we have a little bit of background noise.
Or this area?
Oh, that's not for me.
Is that you?
Nope.
It's a 619 number. I'm not sure who that will be. Okay, so as we kick off the show here today, let's engage with the energy that we are in a new year. In the Gregorian calendar, we're in a new year. And Sean, last week you guys covered a tremendous amount of ground in the conversations and the dialogue, the questions, etc. And now what we would like to do is, hopefully most of you have had your answers, your questions asked and answers into the pragmatic GCR aspect of things and exchanges. So, Sean, do you want to jump in here and just share?
Yeah, why don't we start out like we do, and let's update from this last week, and we can tie into, where we, because what we like to do, right, Deb, is we go 1 week to the next, and we don't go backwards, right? We're always moving forward.
Springboard.
Right? So, yep. And so the show 2 weeks ago, we talked about a lot of details because effectively 2 weeks ago, the logistics of the exchange process started. We reported quite a bit on that, and that it still holds true, and it was what do I want to say, paused or there were things happening, but from the exchange level side, obviously, as I discussed 2 weeks ago, very unlikely that things are going to happen at very many levels where we're all concerned over the Christmas, New Year's holiday, right? I said they could, but it was unlikely. So here we are. We're after New Year's. No big issues. The process, is continuing. And then last week we talked about things like, entities, trusts, paying it forward. Are you prepared for this, and how the process would likely work, because nobody knows until it actually happens, right? But there's quite a bit of information that we made sense of. And then so we're springboarding this week into, because of where we stand right now, it's time to really be thinking about post-GCR, what you're going to do, with the transfer of wealth, because that's really, as we've been saying all along, Deb, that's where the real work starts, right? If we thought it was hard waiting and doing all this. Yep. So in a nutshell, for those listening, we are now coming off of the New Year's weekend, holiday weekend. There was not a lot of things to talk about from this past week because, quite honestly, most people are on vacation, holiday. We continue to maintain that as of over a week ago, the funds that needed to be in place. I went into an analogy last week about imagine a gigantic barrel of water, a big bucket, and then there's spigots and faucets around that, and that goes into other buckets, and that is continuing to confirm the big bucket is there. We were waiting for that big bucket to have water put in it, the funds, weeks ago, but that's there. What we are coming into now is for the next level, now that the holiday weeks are over. We're expecting tomorrow being the first full-fledged kind of like New Year back. Everyone's back at work. The banks, activities, particularly the high-level bankers, your VPs and your senior VPs and the CEOs and the presidents, and, they've got many of them, are coming back in, and these funds will begin to go active down at the next level. And, of course, those high-level banking senior people, whether it's from region to region and all the way up to the corporate global level of executives, these things need to be signed off as they're being transferred into the next level. And that would be for the highest level groups beginning as soon as tomorrow is the information I have, but we don't know till we know. And that's going to be a process. It's going to take days, right, because it's a lot. And so with each passing day, more funds, they start tomorrow, will continue to move into the different things. And then we are looking at the mid-level groups, which would be, I can't go into the details of those either, but in terms of the logistics, mechanics, who, what, and where. But the mid-level groups then should get the word, and there'll be some likely some travel involved for those members and that type of thing. And then we move to the ultimate largest, broadest-based group level, which would be the Internet, G64, Wells Fargo type of thing. What we know that it's very, very, very likely that this all starts, meaning the money getting there to these the first level, high level group starts as early as tomorrow, right? What we don't know is how long it will take between each level of groups. It could be a couple days. It could be a little longer than that. And it even could be a different number of days between the high level, mid-level, and then it could be another number of days between the mid-level and then the broadest level, which is the internet group type of thing. And then the final thing would be the public. Hey, Sean, can you hear me? Yep. Yes, I can.
Oh, good. Okay, cool. Sorry, keep going because something weird was going on this end. Okay, keep going.
There's always something weird going on all over the place, right? So, yeah. And then, of course, the last step after, in my opinion, and from the information and research I've gathered, would be the public announcements, which is more like your CNBC, Wall Street Journal, Reuters, Bloomberg, where they actually mention asset-backed currencies or a change. It will not be called a global reset. It'll be, oh, by the way, we're just getting in that currencies are being announced as asset-backed, and there's, but I expect that public level to be sometime after. It could even be towards the end of the month. It could be in February. That's the biggest kind of confidential point of all. When will that public side, when we're really knowing and the whole world wakes up and realizes and says, hey, the fiat system, what's going on? What's happening to it, right? So we're very, very optimistic for this week, bottom line, and we'll take it day by day. But from where we stand right now, I'm fully expecting, as are many others of my colleagues and contacts and whatnot, that we're going to actually see that physical evidence that the funds have made it down to the next level, which is where members actually of the higher level groups and then on down actually can see, right? What I call spendable cash, right? So, and then it's just a matter of time from paymasters, how long it takes to get to the members. But that's all internal, with the members itself. So, so we're looking good for a good week. There's not much more to say, Deb.
Well, okay, so here's what I would like to switch gears to, is that we have some kind of weird things happening over. I'm watching the dashboard for the call, and we have some weird things going on. So what I'm going to actually ask is for the team of people that are on the call now that you guys know who you are, and I would just like to clear the field right now of any obstructions, any interference, any projections, anything that anyone that is actually coming on the line that is not intending for the highest divine good to be revealed. And that, because we've got, there seems to be access to the host dashboard. So there's calls coming in and on the host dashboard.
Really?
Yeah. And
well, we know we're on the radar, Deb. We know that.
Yeah.
For a fact. So.
Yes.
Yep. All right.
So, in fact, Jennifer, are you still there? Because I'm not showing Jennifer on the dashboard right now, and I am in Skype communication with her. And we've definitely got. I'm going to say intruders.
I was muted, Deb, and so if anyone comes in, I just put them on hold. I'm not sure if they can hear us or not, but they most certainly can't participate that way.
Okay, so I'm going to just say this. We actually have 3 new people now showing up on the dashboard as a host. And so if you have utilized a PIN number other than 45018, you're going to continuously be put on hold, and we're actually calling forth for you to be, if it's intended, if you're actually intending to intrude on that part, the host part of the call, then we're just going to ask for assistance in all dimensions here to exclude you. And we're going to continue to be putting you on hold, because this call here is intended for the highest divine good. And that everything that we are creating as a foundation, everything that we are bringing forth is for the betterment of humanity. And we're very clear about who we are. We're also very clear about what we are stirring up. And we're holding in our field, through our I Am presence, very powerfully, that there are no obstructions. Sean, do you want to add to that?
Yeah, I'm just going to say there's a lot more of us than there are of you. So, and your time is pretty much over.
Over.
I'll just short and direct. All right, so we have a few more minutes before we open the calls.
But let's go ahead and
why don't you preface our topic, Deb? All right.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and open up the Q&A, Jennifer.
Okay.
And I think we're just going to need to be diligent about watching what is showing up here. Okay, folks, so we've just opened up the Q&A line, and again, we really appreciate your participation. We also appreciate your integrity for why you're showing up, how you're showing up, and calling forth right now for each of you to be very vigilant in the vibration that you're holding for this GCR. Now, we did the last show call from Reno, and Sean and I were guided, and the whole team of us that are working together we're still working with the energy of Reno. So if you did see the design element, you'll see that it has on there Focus Reno 2016. There's a reason for that, and it's because the energy of that geographical location, so we'd like to actually ask all of you to focus your energy on exchange centers and even post-GCR experiences in the Reno location. And if you're not familiar with Reno, maybe look it up, just Google it, see a couple of images, get to know it as a geographical location, that we're holding a very strong field of intention for the GCR experience to activate and anchor into final fruition in that geographical location. Because once that occurs there, it is the domino effect for the rest of the world. We believe and what we're being told. So focus your energy on Reno, and through the vibrations of I am love, I am light, I am gratitude. And I apologize if that gets a little bit too spiritual or esoteric for you guys, but that's actually what Sean and I and this whole team of people, Jennifer and the whole entire team, Scott, Helen, Nadia, all the people that are a part of the back-end team that are very, very powerfully holding a field that you guys are now, if you choose, through your free will, to be a part of. And so now that we are in 2016, it's important for us to move into the vibration of knowingness beyond hope, but into the vibration of knowingness that this is a done deal, and start engaging with all of the details of our individual experiences and our plans of after GCR, post-GCR experiences. And that there are people here that are part of this team that are, as we speak, and as you speak your vision even, they are, and we have activated a very powerful unified field. And Sean, I'm going to actually turn it back over to you to share maybe what you've experienced in this field for your own personal transformation, just to further anchor the validity of what we're up to.
Okay. I usually talk about this in kind of technical layman's terms, kind of.
So I don't mean to put you on the spot, right?
No, yeah, well, you kind of did. All right, but anyway, that's okay. Yeah, we all know that I always liken this specifically to if you go to a major sporting event or a concert or something of that nature, I don't think anyone can deny that when you're in that type of an environment, that you feel the energy. People always say the energy in the crowd was incredible, the energy of the performance, the energy. that energy is absolutely real. It's not something you're just feeling, kind of like, oh, it's just what it is. We don't really think about that too much. But when people are unified and focused on a singular thing in groups, and the larger the group, the more powerful, obviously, it's a combination of, you get the excitement. It comes from your heart, your chest area. We call it the heart chakra. And also your thoughts engage with it as well. And when the mind and the heart combine, you are actually moving things at a quantum level. You're experiencing that type of thing. And anyone, as I always say, look up basic. There's a great thing online and books called Quantum Mechanics or Quantum Theory for Dummies. And it explains things very well, and that actually is what we're experiencing here. So we're all unified, singularly focused on this first event, which is the GCR, and particularly the exchanges, and then the energy that will be released after the exchange, and we start doing post-exchange activities, humanitarian, building a new planet, correcting all the things that we feel need to be corrected, and there's a lot. We're engaging with that energy, and from my personal experience and being involved from the beginning, actually it's only 2 or 3 months, Deb, we've known each other.
Yeah, well, actually 4 or 5 now. It's gone fast.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm in a time warp. So anyway, as I've engaged with Deb on some of the more what I call quantum level, and Deb will say spiritual or esoteric or whatever you want, it's all the same. And the energy levels that we've been able to raise, and particularly the experiences we had in Reno as we focus on that, and anybody who has been involved with the GCR and the RV for the last couple of years or even a year, we all know that Reno is a massive focal point for everything that's happening. The release of the major funds that will all end up eventually in our accounts. So the energy level that we experienced going into Reno was, I would just call it a level 1. But then as we began to focus, and particularly even in, we did 2 shows from Reno, right, or several? As we did each.
Yeah, actually we did the 2, Wake Up Shift is Happening shows, yep.
Yep. Yeah, we did the whole, and the JFK things, and you could clearly feel like you're in that concert hall or at that major sporting event as the home team is doing what it's doing. It was, even though it was just a few of us where we were, it felt exactly like that. So I can validate from a technical kind of area, which is, using, I tend to use more brain than heart, but I'm working on that. And it's real. I cannot deny that things are shifting, that energies on a quantum level are moving forward, and I've had some pretty visceral and palpable experiences with energies, even to the point where it's almost like you're in a river and you can feel the water flowing past you and around you as the river flows. It felt just like that as we moved, and you could see that. So it's very important that we focus on Reno, and the more people, everyone listening and everyone on the replay, just stay focused on Reno for our highest intention, our highest good. Bottom line is if you're negative that it's not going to happen, or if you look for one delay after another or something like that, it's not going to work for you. I can tell you that right now. We need everyone focused, which is why we're talking about post-GCR tonight. And because I'm pretty much going from a foregone conclusion that within the next 2 to 3 weeks, we'll all be in a post-GCR scenario. And I'm probably willing to say that on this show, right? So, and I'll eat my hat if I'm wrong. But let's see. It's my favorite hat too. So anyway,
right. Yeah. I bet it has a P on it.
Yes, it does. Go Purdue. Go Boilers. All right. So
All right, and one thing to add to that is just to ask you, because I know that this might be very new information for people. Beyond just the energy, would you also say that the information and the details that come through, you've had a fair amount of evidence? And the reason I'm asking you to share that is because in the near future, we're going to be asked to share details and evidence, and not evidence, but we're going to be asked to share details to people that may trigger belief systems, programs, etc. And so what we're doing right now, folks, is we're building a foundation of intentional trust, so that as we are being guided to share details that might be out of the box to you, that you can think back to even this show or this conversation. And Sean, you're only one of the dozen of people around us in this inner circle that can share this. So can you just speak a little bit about the details that come through as far as the communications and what you might, I'll just stop there. Beyond just the energy.
Yes, pretty much like I said earlier, some of it's personal. So
No, I'm not asking you to share personal stuff, just that what you've experienced has been a consistency, basically.
Yes, actually, okay, we'll go to the next step within a quantum field, or as you, Deb, call a unified field.
Right.
As you open up and let go of your belief systems, because I had a lot of belief systems, the way I was raised, right? And highly on the technical, if I can't see it, it doesn't exist type of stuff. And as you open up to that and shed your belief system skin and come out, that field actually starts delivering you information, because it's really a gigantic radio television transmission, two-way communication type of thing. And you can some people will call it their inner self, their inner voice, their whatever, but once you start opening from that, you realize it's not just everything is within inside, but you realize that you're actually having a conscious conversation, not a subconscious conversation at some point, and information is revealed. And I can tell you I've received information. Yep.
Okay. And just to add to that is that one of the communications that came through just a few days ago, I was asked to plant the seed here with everyone for you to begin to engage with yourself, if you don't already, that you're a frequency manufacturer. That the frequencies that you're engaging with as your thoughts and your heart's desires or lack thereof, that you are a frequency manufacturer. And one of the ways we've gotten so off track is that our frequencies have been deliberately disempowered and brought down to a very surface level, many living in fear, survival, and even greed being a very low vibration energy. And that part of our role of the people that are here as the wave of beings to be recipients of this money, part of our role is to raise our frequency even prior to the exchanging, but to be the frequency manufacturer of that high vibration, gratitude, love, compassion, and even holding in this field that this is a done deal, that you stand in that knowingness and that vibration that this is a done deal, and that you move out of the what we refer to as the hopium vibration and move and stand continuously in the moment to moment, and not being altered and not being affected by negative or when people refer to intel that is, this isn't going to happen, blah, 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 that you stand in the knowingness that this is a done deal. So with that, Jennifer, Sean, do you want to add anything to that? Oops, Sean, are you there? Yep, see, we're having some weird stuff over here on this dashboard. Okay.
We may have lost them.
Yeah, so Sean's going to need to dial back in. So Jennifer, we're going to open up the Q&A line here in just a moment.
I'm here.
Okay.
Great.
Well, see, this is there's weird stuff happening. You dropped off the dashboard, and we couldn't hear you.
Really? I dropped off the dashboard. Wow, strange stuff.
I know. So continuously holding that this is, this all clears and stays in the flow of the highest good for everything here. So Jennifer, how do people get into the Q&A queue?
They *6 on their telephone, and then when we call their area code, their line will be unmuted, and they'll be able to ask questions.
Okay. All right,
okay, that works. Now we have quite a few. Are we ready to get started?
Let's rock and roll, yeah, Sean?
All right.
Let's do it. Yep.
Area code 516.
Oh, hello. My name is Mike from New York, also known as RV Hunter. I'm hunting for the RV, okay? Now,
all right.
My question, Sean, is last week you was talking about the GFR and the GCR. And unless I read it wrong, you sort of alluded to the GFR coming first, and that's before the announcements that we're going to see with the GCR, and by that time, the general public and the news and media and everything else will be talking about asset-backed currencies.
Right.
Am I correct with that thought?
Actually, yeah, it's the other way. The GFR is the global financial reset, and the GCR is the global currency reset. The currency reset is a part of the bigger financial reset event. So, but the first thing that leads that off is the currency, the revaluation of currencies. And when I say revaluation, I'm talking about the currencies of the world, the vast majority of them going to asset-backed and basically jumping off of the fiat system that we're all under today, the central banking system. Mm-hmm. So the currencies will be reset as the opening shot, so to speak. Think of it as the first domino falling. But then in rapid succession, the next step would be actually, several of these components could already be in play, but they haven't announced them publicly yet. When the currency reval happens, there'll be new banking regulations fully kicked in. Basel III has got several steps. There's one step that hasn't been, implemented, or it hasn't been announced yet, and that will regulate what banks can and cannot do. All right, particularly with derivatives, gambling, with our, funds and that type of thing, and also the wider transparency, so you can see they cannot cook the books anymore. So, and then there'll be other steps within the financial reset, and that gets out to sovereign debts disappearing. So the national debt of the United States, it's either going to be written off, or it will be it's been relieved or underwritten, which would be by the gold-backed currencies, and that will happen around the world. So we don't know exactly in which order all those will flow and how long it'll be in between each step. But the one thing then the final thing is what you may be referring to is I said there's two sides to this entire global financial reset. There's the private side and the public side. The private side is the exchanges that all of us who are listening to this call and also watching the RV GCR boards on the internet and that type of thing, we're all part of the private side, in my opinion. And then by the time it all goes public, it'll be a different landscape, right? A slightly different landscape, in meaning that I firmly don't believe, I could be wrong, but by the time the public is aware that there's been an asset backing to the currencies, and now they're beginning to talk about all of that on the open mainstream media. I don't believe, for instance, that the U.S. dollar, the asset-backed U.S. dollar, will be as low against some of these other currencies as it is, right, as it will be in the private side. So that's part of the what will happen first and then the second type of thing. Did that answer your question?
Yes, I got one more before I let you go. Because I do talk to some people about different situations who are supposedly in the know, and one thing they all say is that they do not want double dipping, and I think I heard you say that before.
Yep.
Now, how do you stop double dipping if people are getting actually in the next 72 hours or 4 or 5 days getting money released to them? How do you stop them from double dipping when everything could be rolling out over the next 2 to 3 weeks?
Yes. Okay. Thank you. Good question. First of all, let's define double dipping. In my definition, and there are several out there, but my definition of double dipping from the information that I have is using proceeds from an exchange of one currency to buy more of the same currency. The way I understand it is if you exchange, for instance, the dinar and you want to go out and buy, let's start with this. Let's say the exchanges cover the zim, the dinar, the dong, maybe the Afghani, maybe Iran, but Iran is still in and out. There's no definitive information yet if that's going to be included in our appointments and that type of thing. But let's just put those on the table for right now. If you take the proceeds from any of those currencies and go out and try to buy more of those currencies, that is my definition of double dipping. However, you could exchange your dinar, and let's say you want to go out and buy pesos or Brazilian real or something like that, you should be able to do that, right? Mm-hmm. So if you take dinar and then you turn around and if you have the opportunity to buy dinar after your exchange at the same price you paid for it, like the value it is now, that would be double dipping. However, I highly, highly, highly doubt you're going to be able to do that. Right? There will either be some instructions that you cannot do that, or those prices will evaporate. For instance, with the dinar dealers, or they will stop selling for maybe a week while we're doing our exchanges or something, and then the rest of the revals hit. The only one that makes sense to me is that we're clearly said you can't go out, at least at the higher group level, in the mid group. There's probably going to be instructions on what you can and can't do. And then after that, by the time it gets down to the internet G64 type of level, I think once you exchange, there will be no more of these currencies that are available at that low price, either because they've been stopped or possibly that the prices have gone up, which means that basically the kind of more public side has happened simultaneous to the G64 side. There are several different opinions on that, but I think it'll be staggered. I believe that the dealers will just be asked they will be ordered. They can't sell those currencies. So it'll be like a blank. They'll just say, we can't sell right now, right? And then the public side happens, and then you'll see the new rates.
Well, thank you, Sean. I'm going to let somebody else get on and ask that question. You've been very helpful. Right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, our next caller is from 918, area code 918. Are you there, 918?
Hello?
Yes.
Yes, this is Steve. I'm calling from Oklahoma.
Hi, Steve.
Hello, Steve.
Hi. I wanted, if you could, Sean, to recap. I got cut off a couple of times listening. When you started, I believe you said this would roll out starting next week with high-level groups, mid groups, and then the internet group. Is that correct?
Yeah, this week. I'm looking for it to start rolling out as early as tomorrow. However, it won't be. If it does start at the high level as early as tomorrow, it could start Tuesday. I don't know, Wednesday. Mm-hmm. We won't know about it, right? a lot of that stuff has already started, and I can tell you it has started, right? It's just at a point where, there's blackout of information and that type of thing, and that's always been my sign that it's executing. So, not next week. I believe it'll start. However, I would probably expect that at some point very soon after they do start, even at a high level, something's going to leak out onto the internet boards. It just depends on who has an NDA and who does not.
I picked up also, I believe you said, there's some mid-level groups that still may have to do some paperwork. Is that?
Nope.
Oh, okay.
I said some traveling.
Okay. Well, that coincides with a buddy of mine who's in one of those, and he's been contacted. He'll have to do some traveling. So,
yep.
I have one more question, if you all could. I've been following this, the REE GCR for 2-3 years, and I've noticed something that comes out, and I believe y'all can, if you would, you have the knowledge to educate me on this, because it's human nature. Anything that is unknown, you fear it. And I've been reading about the New Republic.
Right.
Can you educate me on that? I can't wrap my head around it. I'm sorry.
All right. You have opened up a massive topic, so I'm going to be very brief. So forgive me on that.
Okay.
But the part of the major changes that Deb and I have been discussing, the shift, all right, we're not only shifting to a new, transparent, and equitable financial system, meaning the dismantling of the fiat system, massive changes in the way banks can operate, and how we engage with banks and what they can and can't do. That's the financial side. But there's a whole other shift that's either happening in parallel or right on the heels of that, and that will be a shift in governance and governments themselves, because we're moving to sovereignty, right? We're moving away from admiralty law. We're moving away from the law of finance, which governs everything, right down to our circuit traffic court. It's not a judicial court. It's a financial court. And so everything is connected into this banking system, or the banksters, as I call it. And we're really not free. That's why we call it the debt matrix.
Or the enslavement matrix.
The enslavement matrix, the debt enslavement, and all the enslavement. So basically, in a nutshell, the Republic refers to what the governmental changes that will happen within the United States. And it's called the Republic because the United States is not a republic right now. It's a corporation, the United States government, and everything that's around it, whether it's a state, whether it's a county. I mean, you walk into a city and it says in corporate line, right? City corporation limit. So they are corporations, and everything you deal with them is like a corporation. So the Republic is at a government level for the U.S., and there will be similar types of changes within other countries as well. I'm particularly talking about the G7 type of countries, where we'll go back. But I'll only stick with the U.S. We're going back to the original organic constitution, and the government that will be announced, or that will make itself known, is that the corporate structure of government in the United States has been dismantled and dissolved, like just dissolving a corporation. And we will have a true republic based on our organic constitution, and some of those nefarious amendments that were stuck in will be dissolved as well. So that's what the republic is really all about from a broad perspective.
And also,
will this happen over time or all at once? I'm trying to think of chaos.
Well, exactly. Well, Deb and I have talked about in past shows becoming upheavals, right? There will be some massive. I mean, we talked about this a few weeks ago, and you mentioned earlier when we don't understand something, human nature tends to fear it. That's agreed. We've also talked about we will not operate from a point of fear because we're all educating ourselves on it right now. And we will, the people listening and all of us, including yourself now, when these changes happen, it will fall on you and your responsibility to your family and the friends around you and your neighbors to say, hey, wait a minute, this is nothing to fear. This is freedom coming, right? So it's happening. So regarding a timeline, there's information meaning that the Republic has to be in place as the exchanges happen because part of the gold-backed currency actually activates the Republic. Or it's the other way around. I mean, people can argue both ways. But the bottom line is I believe the Republic will be in place when the, we start exchanging. Whether or not it's announced is, publicly is the issue. So, we are holding an energy field for as least chaos as possible, but I think Deb would agree with me. There will be a substantial amount of upheaval as this rolls out. Yeah.
And what's important for us to remember because we're basically what this GCR is representing, it's a transition. It's a transition for the evolution of humanity. And because we have swung so far, the pendulum has swung so far off track that it's going to take a substantial, I'll just say substantial amount of changes in order for us to transition back to where the pendulum can swing back into a balance and create a level playing field. So that's what's important for people to engage with and to understand that we're really moving into a very a transition time where it's not necessarily going to be all a bed of roses, and that's why it's unifying and coming together and creating community and why we're even utilizing media to engage with you guys at this point. Why I even said earlier, part of the intention here is to also build a level of trust so that as the because as you were saying, most people, when they experience change, can go right into fear. So what's important, and this goes for everybody here, is that you're able to engage with a perspective and the perception of this upheaval that is occurring. Now, you've got to also use discernment because there's probably going to be some things thrown in there that really aren't for our highest good. But I'm going to say that a lot of it is going to be for our highest good, and as you have a perception of it, that, okay, I get it, this has to happen in order for us to come back to a level playing field for humanity's highest good, then you can engage with those events in a different way rather than fearing them and running away from them or trying to even change them, right?
Right. You said some key words that right now that has almost taken all the fear out of it for me. Sometimes I'll be sitting around talking to friends. You're talking about things in the country politically, economically, educationally, spiritually. And I've always said myself, guys, the pendulum has swung so far, how are we ever going to get it back?
How are we ever going to get back? We're really in a world of hurt right now.
Right, and maybe this answers it to me. This new republic, it will, with all the changes, if they happen politically, then out of that it will move educationally, economically, and spiritually, and maybe that will bring us back to where we're supposed to be.
Absolutely.
My opinion is one of the things.
Excuse me?
It's one. Yeah, now there's an echo.
Okay, yeah.
I'll mute him, honey, and then you can go ahead and talk to him.
Okay. So in my opinion, or not even my opinion, it's actually the guidance that I'm getting, is that that's going to be one of the things. There's going to be other things that are going to occur, and probably simultaneously, that I have a feeling it's going to throw people so off balance that they're really going to be, what's going to be required is you to really come back into your heart and to very quickly transmute the fears that you have, because we have so many programs attached to our existence and the government and the mind control and all that crap, right?
Right, exactly.
So in order to unplug from that paradigm and that reality, it's going to require all of us basically to bootstrap and to really come into alignment with our hearts in ways that many people have not been experiencing living. And to rely on their own source and spiritual prowess and insight. And that might take a bit of time, because as the upheaval that is, I believe, is going to be occurring, it could really shake people at the core of their belief systems.
Right. I understand.
Right? So
exciting times ahead.
It's exciting
wow.
and crazy all the time.
Yeah, a key thing also will be that the mainstream media will be set free, and they will no longer be propaganda machines. So that should help, but it'll be a two-edged sword, right? They'll be telling the truth for once, but the truth is going to be shocking, right?
Well, it just all of a sudden, I'm 62 years old, and I'm going to wake up in a brand new world. And I'm thinking, okay, this blessing, the RV, I'm thinking, okay, let's do that and let me get over that shock, and then let's go on. I mean, it's all just going to hit you,
Well, here's the other thing is that you're being educated now, so you're basically being prepared. Right? And I don't think it's going to happen I think it's going to happen overnight when it comes to the history of our planet and humanity's evolution. It will happen overnight. But we don't know how quickly it's going to happen. It could take 1 to 2 years for all of the deceptions that need to be revealed, all of the new aspects of life to be revealed. So it's important that people, and this is where I think we're going to get a very quick opportunity to be living in the present moment. So, and what I mean by that is many people live 2 weeks, a month, 6 months in advance, and we're going to really be called to be living in the present moment and be dealing with our moment-to-moment experiences. Sean, what'd you say?
No, I got taken out of the system. I just had to call back in.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And we have a weird echo thing going on, too. I don't know. Is that from your headset, do you think? In any case, what I think it's also going to call forth in each of us is to actually be willing and able to live in a moment-to-moment experience and not try to project too far in advance, because it's going to be, the time and the timeline, I feel, is going to be altered in a way that people aren't going to necessarily be able to make too many plans, in a year in advance. Is going to seem like a lifetime.
Right.
Right?
Well, thank you all so much. I've listened to you all before, and I listened to others throughout this, but I must say, you all are the premier show. You really are.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Don't thank me. Thank yourselves. I'm a follower. Thank you all so much.
We received
all right. Thank you for the call.
Thank you. Okay, let's see if we can get rid of that echo.
Okay. Our next caller is 575.
That's me, Morgan.
Hi, Morgan.
Hi, how's it going? Okay.
Good.
Good. Plus, I just want to make a comment before I ask my questions, is that we're going to get the love vibration is going to be increasing on this planet from the other sources, too, and it's going to keep increasing all year. So we're in good hands. So,
sorry, say that again. So the love vibration, I agree, is going to increase.
Yeah, well, it's coming from many different places. Pleiadians, right. The Arcturians. I mean, they're already preparing us for that, to open people's hearts and to get them into that space.
Well, and it's free will. It's actually it's each individual person's free will to open to that vibration.
Right. You choose to have that energy come into you. There's different ways you can ask for it, and you just open up to it.
And engage with it, right?
Exactly.
And here's an example. This is just what's coming to my thought right now. If somebody wants to engage more with the energies of this high vibration and love vibration, go out and do some random acts of kindness.
Oh, definitely.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
We actually have a whole project that we'll be launching here in the next couple weeks where it's a random acts of kindness movement, and you can download cards that are already on a PDF form, and you print those cards out, like, let's say in the States there's like the Vista print or whatnot, and you carry those cards around with you, and if you have a spontaneous random act of kindness that you want to engage with somebody, you hand them that card and you say, hey, you've just been included in a random act of kindness experience.
Sweet.
Right?
Yeah. There's many different ways to look at it. Exactly.
But that's just one really easy way to proactively engage with opening your heart and being that conduit on the planet for these high vibrations.
And we're going to need that, especially in the confusion, because we're going to have to just kind of soothe people. I know that's going to be part of my. That's why when you say not to stay in the moment, that's why I'm not jumping too far ahead about my plans. I mean, I know some things I'd like to do, but I'm basically following my guidance and letting it show me the way. In other words, I know divinity is where the power is, and that's where I put my energy.
Mhm.
You know,
thank you
and
for
I
sharing
know that. Exactly.
Yeah.
So, so Sean, couple of quick questions. Number one, I just want to review, so I've got this grounded here for a second here. So when I do my exchange, they can write me more than one check, right? If I want to split things up until I figure out what's going on and where I'm going to put things, so that I can divvy it up between the places I'm going to put it at the moment until I understand trust, because that's going to take me a while. The other question I had was, they can split up the checks, right, for me?
Okay, well, you said when you do your exchange. When you go to your exchange appointment, you're only going to exchange. That's all you're going to do. They are not going to cut checks for you during the exchange.
Oh, right? Really? Okay, so what's the next step?
The details are sketchy. I mean, we're really down at a detail level now, right? But
okay.
The way I understand it is when you go into an appointment, you're going to meet an exchange officer, and that officer is only there to accept your currencies, do the exchange, and put the funds. You'll see the funds in your account, right?
In which account? You mean what? Wait, funds in my account. What do you mean by that?
Well, you're going into an exchange, so you'll have to have a bank account so that they can take your currency, and then they're going to need to put the money somewhere, right? So if it's an exchange center that's affiliated, it's still unclear. There's information on both sides that it can be an exchange center affiliated with one bank, or it'll be an exchange center affiliated with multiple banks, right? I don't want to confuse.
No, I understand, and I already have my choices set up until I already know where I want to put things. So it's so if I get one, so I can put it in one account and then I can split it up later, right? Okay.
Yeah. So your exchange, they'll probably say, if you go in, let's say Wells Fargo, if you're going into a Wells Fargo exchange and it's a Wells Fargo exchange officer, and you have a Wells Fargo account, they'll or you don't. They'll set one up for you. My guess is they're going to do that like a doctor appointment. You're going to go into your exchange and you're going to walk in, and they're going to hand you like a form, and you'll fill it out. Do you have an account? Do you not have an account? Do you need one? Blah blah blah. So they'll probably take care of setting up an account if you need one first before you walk into your exchange. I don't know if they'll do that all at the same time. They might stagger it based on what your needs are, right? So
can they put it in another account if I choose to go somewhere else? Because because Wells Fargo for me is not close by, and I don't want to be
Wells Fargo as an example. That's okay.
Right.
So wherever you get the exchange, and again, we don't know if it's affiliated with one single bank. We don't know if there'll be appointments. You can pick which bank you want to make an appointment with. This is part of that.
This is all part of the unknown right now.
Not been revealed, right?
Yes.
So, and again, I'm only speaking about like the internet level G64 type of thing, right? Because that's the broad base. That's where you're talking about millions of people, right? So,
right.
The higher level groups and mid level groups, they know exactly where that is and what's going on, and that's already done, right? So the at the broader level, it's going to be one way or the other. If you're in there and it's with the bank you already selected and that type of thing, they will be able to put funds into your account, or if you have 2 or 3 accounts, they'll split it. I'm really not sure.
They
may
are
just say, listen, we're going to put this into this account, and then you can go and make an appointment with a wealth manager who will do whatever you want, cut checks and, that type of thing, right? But I can't stress enough, the main reason for the exchange appointment is the exchange, right?
Period.
At that level. Yep.
Okay.
So, again, they are going to want to get you in and out in a designated time period, right? And because there's lots of people. And so they'll say, here's where your accounts are. Now, they may even have an officer, a banking officer that you can just then move on and go talk to. I don't know after that point. Or you'll come back and, like, the next day you'll actually go to a regular bank, and you can have an appointment with the wealth manager, or they'll set that appointment up, and you can go do that, and then you can get your checks cut and all of that. But it's just highly unlikely that they'll be, managing people's individual needs and requests much beyond just the basic exchange.
Just the basic exchange.
Yep.
Okay, so just ask about that when I'm there. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, the other question I have is on the Zim. Is it still true that the Zim is not going to raise the price of that is not going to raise for at least several months?
The Zim will be exchanged during the normal exchange appointment.
So it's not June or anything like that. They originally said it wouldn't raise till like May or June.
Yeah, I don't know who they are, and you said, is it still true? So I don't know about that truth. What I do
So
know
in other words,
Zim
what currencies will I have left? So if I don't want to double dip and I don't have any Zim, will there be anything left that I can get if I want more?
Okay, I can't predict the future, right?
Okay.
So obviously, if you could get Zim, you should get it, and that's just my opinion. I own Zim. That's why I'm saying that. I am not an advisor. I do not have any inside information about what the Zim is going to do or what, but that's my disclaimer. I own Zim, and I also know for a fact that my Zim is going to be exchanged. All right.
Okay. So that will already have been. That'll be done. I won't be able to do that again.
Right. Yeah. Okay. What people are talking about. Yeah, what people are talking about, what you're referring to with the Zim, is if you already have Zim and you go in and exchange it and you don't exchange all of your Zim, some people think the Zim may go up again after the initial exchange.
I see. Okay.
I don't think you're going to be able to buy Zim for like $20 for a 100 trillion note after the exchanges start. I think they'll dry up.
Too bad. Okay, because I wanted to get maybe some more currency, but I don't know. Well, I guess we'll have to wait and see how that all comes to fruition.
I'd like to just jump in here, too.
Say that again?
Morgan, I'm going to just jump in here, too. I just want to add one thing here, because this is what's coming to my thoughts as you're asking these questions. And I think we also need to move on to some of the other people that are in the queue. But part of this situation is that we are not going to know exactly until we actually get in there and we are present. So part of that, I'm just saying on an energetic and on a spiritual aspect, that part of what needs to be engaged is trusting yourself. This is why you're educating yourself, but you walk in there, you're not going to know all the answers, and that you trust yourself to make the decisions either in that moment or you step away and then you chew it over and you think about it, you figure out what you're going to do after, and then you go back. But a lot of this also is a very powerful opportunity for everyone to really step into that. We all always, a lot of people tend to really like to know everything ahead of time, right?
Well, as much as possible, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's a fine line dance and a balance to be created in feeling that you have to know everything versus trusting that there's some things that are just going to be left to be in the moment. And
right.
It's exchange process, but it's even the stuff that's going to be unfolding in the post GCR stuff. Right.
Okay. The only other question I have is, it would be nice, and I realize this is probably not realistic, but it would be nice to have some. I am totally clueless when it comes to trusts, which means I'd have to trust myself, quote unquote, to know who to go with and who not to go with, and where do you draw the line as to whether a trust is really a valid way to go? I mean, is it 1, 2, 3 mil? I mean, what makes it worthwhile to do?
Right. Okay. I'll just answer the trust issue in this generally.
Okay.
I'll speak not only to you, Morgan, but to everyone listening right now.
Okay.
If one does not know why they want to open a trust, that's the first place you've got to start. Okay. You need to say, this is why I want to trust, or you need to just have an objective for what you want an entity for, whether it's an LLC, whether it's a trust, whether it's a foundation,
right,
or a charitable organization. You see, you have to ask yourself and be able to answer those questions first, because if you want a vehicle, for instance, I have a trust, and I did the research, and I opened up a specific trust, an irrevocable trust, because I knew exactly what I wanted an entity to do, and that was maximum asset protection. And asset protection
and I understand that part, right.
Right. So, when you go to do your research, whether you want a trust or because there's many, many different types of trusts, just when you interview various legal firms that form trusts, they're going to ask you what's your goal, and then that will lead them in the way of which trust, and they'll do the different things. In the meantime, you can just Google what are the different types of trusts and the differences, and you'll get a pretty good education. You'll be able to
Okay. And I think was that everything. Oh, how long is the NDA going to be in play?
Okay, Morgan, I'm just going to jump in because you're really kind of dominating the Q&A right now. So I'm going to lovingly ask you to allow us to move on to the next caller.
Okay.
All right.
Sure.
So thank you for your understanding with that, and you know that we have other shows coming up as well.
Okay.
All right.
Sure.
And thank you for your great questions.
You're welcome.
All right. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Morgan. Our next caller is from area code 361.
Hi.
Hi there.
Can you hear me?
What's your name? Yes.
Yes, this is Brian from San Antonio. I have a conference call with my brother. He's a 361. But my question, first I want to say thank you all for everything that you do. We appreciate it. You've really enlightened a lot of us.
Thank you.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Oh, good. Yeah. I guess this question may be more for Sean, but I think Deb also can talk on the other side as far as like energies. But I guess when I say concern, it might be putting negative energy out there. I'm not sure, but my concern is, there is evil entities in the banking system, and when we do our exchange, we're kind of giving them control of the finances. And there's been legislation that was passed that on bail-ins. So our concern is, I guess the concern is if that would happen, or can you give us any kind of information as to?
In essence, many of us have asked all the time, what's been the reason of why the RV or the exchanges have been delayed so much, right? The main reason for the delays, of course, there are international and political issues and that kind of thing, but one of the key issues that was clear from the architects of the plan is that the general exchanges, or most of the exchanges, could not happen until there were enough changes and cleaning up of the current banking system to provide a safe environment for that to happen, right? So, and even going higher up than that, the reason why a bank would need to bail in anybody is because if we're existing in the current fiat system, it's the fiat system, currency system, that's creating the environment for that to need to happen at all. So if we understand that the GCR basically inherently by definition means that the global currencies are moving to an asset gold-backed nature or system, that by definition means the fiat system has been dismantled at a fundamental level. So the very source of creating future banking chaos or predatory environment is the fiat system. So if the GCR has dismantled the fiat system, therefore the environment for those type of negative banking activities or scenarios to happen has been effectively evaporated. Is that?
I understand. Now, when we do this exchange, it'll be exchanged into TRNs. Is that correct?
TRNs are at the sovereign nation level. That's basically the literal definition of a TRN is Treasury Reserve Notes. And, you have Treasury Reserve Notes out there right now. They're called T-bills, bonds, and that type of thing. So the TRNs are an asset-backed dollar that is used between sovereign treasuries of nations, right? So there will be a similar, it won't be called a TRN, in Germany, but Germany will have asset-backed sovereign-level treasury type of notes. And if the U.S. and Germany go to exchange reserves of each other's currency, that is what they will exchange. The U.S. will exchange TRNs. What gets down at the retail banking level, as I call it, is the USN, which would be the new U.S. dollar. Today the symbol is USD, and the new symbol for the asset-backed dollar for all of us will be the USN. So in the future, if you look at it on the stock market instead of USD, you're going to see USN, or if you look at Forex, right, you'll see that as the symbol for the asset-backed U.S. dollar. So the USNs are what are being readied and available to be utilized, or I call it injected, at the retail banking level, and that will be basically the gold-backed dollar for you and me, right, including even the current Federal Reserve notes we have in our wallet. When the USN is released, those Federal Reserve notes will still be a dollar. A dollar is a dollar. It just means now it's going to be backed up, underlying the USN will be guaranteeing that note that we have in our wallet, and eventually over time, those notes will be exchanged, right? I mean, just like they change out, older $20 bills, you're going to see new $20 bills that are U.S. notes, right? So it's not like we're going to have to go and turn in all the money we have in our wallet or purse or whatever and get those because the original ones are worthless. No, it'll be a slow transition, but all of the U.S. dollars will be underlyingly founded and guaranteed and backed up by the USN, which is the gold-backed dollar. Okay.
Well, will we have to be asking for that exchange to go into that, or will that automatically happen?
I would not even think that the exchange officer will even know or understand what you're saying. It's just a dollar is a dollar.
Okay. But our understanding it will be a USN?
Later when it's public, you'll see the symbol, most likely USN. All right. But until then, if we're exchanging into dollars, and the new system will back the dollar with gold and assets, which means that the dollars you exchanged into and whatnot are also gold and asset backed. There's not going to be, I'm strongly opinionated on this, but there are not going to be two different dollars out there at the same time, one fiat and one gold backed. It'll just switch from one to the other.
Okay.
I'd like to add a couple things to what you're discussing right now, and one is that remember that what we're going back to with this gold-backed money and asset-backed money takes us back to the timeline of when JFK was in physical form on the planet. So part of this whole swing of the pendulum back has to do with those decades where things have been turned upside down and inversions have been created, right? So I'm going to say, from my perspective, that we, as the people who are becoming much more educated, we're somewhat more, I'm going to say either somewhat or a lot more aware, and have gone down these rabbit holes, it's important that as we go in and we do these things with the banking industry, that we also are presencing our intention, and also that we are not just handing over and not asking all the right questions. That we're very accountable, responsible, and that if we see things that are maybe out of alignment, that you're willing to be in your power and to communicate that. And if something doesn't feel right, that you're willing to, walk away, step out of that situation, and to create another type of opportunity. The other thing, too, that I just want to acknowledge is that there's been a lot of things that have been put in place, especially in the U.S., having to do with homeland security and whatnot. So it's I think that we're going to be in this transition time where my feeling is that it's not going to be, that there's things to pay attention to and be aware of, that there's things that need to be undone, dismantled, and I don't think it's going to actually happen overnight. So it might be also behoove you to educate yourself about dispersing your funds in ways that don't put your eggs in one basket, if that makes sense.
That is quite wise, absolutely.
Yep.
And for that, it's important that we stay in communication, and we've said this in past shows, that we stay in communication and we keep holding these banks and the other people that are in positions of authority. I don't even like to say in positions of authority, because so much of this is actually imposed in authority, or self-imposed authority. But that we are communicating as a group of beings, as we the people, and that we hold them to the fire, that we're in this transition, and that no longer is business as usual as it had been, even from our own perspective. And that there's a new status quo that we are holding as this new reality and through this transition time.
Well, I definitely believe that we are in a transition. Awakening is going across the globe. I think the internet has definitely helped that. For
sure. So
that's how actually I think my sister came across you and Sean, and she's the one that put us on these calls. So
awesome.
I want to appreciate her for that.
Awesome.
Right. Thank you.
And remember,
so that's a shout out for Shirley.
Way to go, Shirley. Girl power. Just kidding. Lighten it up a little bit here.
There you go.
All right.
Thank you for your contribution.
Yeah, thank you for the call.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Our next caller is 484. Area code 484.
Okay, so 484, you want to say hello, and see if we can hear you? Because we're not hearing you. Okay, Jennifer, what about 361?
That was Brian that we just spoke with.
Okay, so.
All right, we'll just go to the next caller. 219. Area code 219.
This is Ken. I bring you greetings from Northwest Indiana.
Woohoo, Ken.
Northwest Indiana. Oh my gosh, my old stomping grounds where I was born.
Really?
Yep.
Are you a former Hoosier?
I'm a former Hoosier. I guess I still am, right? Can you ever take the Hoosier out of the kid, right?
Out of the kid.
Yeah.
No, you.
Yep.
No, you can't.
Nope. I was born in Michigan City, Indiana. Yep.
Okay, that's only like a half hour from me.
There you go.
Okay, my question is, are they going to exchange all of the ZIMs, the $1 million and the $1 trillion? I mean, I have a lot of ZIM. Are they going to exchange all of them?
Well, there's been mainly only one report that I have ever heard, but it was a widely, received report, publicly in Dinarland, that the issue was specifically with the 50 trillion and the 100 trillion notes. So for lack of any other information at that point, always better to be safe than sorry. However, I do have information from other places where they're exchanging ZIM, and there was no stipulation put on what denomination it had to be. So one was widely reported, but there was nothing really you couldn't disprove or prove it, meaning they only 50T and 100T. But yet I know of exchanges going on where there was, when you were going to exchange, you had to have the 50T and the 100T. You just had to have ZIM in the 2008 AA.
Okay, because I have a lot of ZIM, the trillion and the $1 billion ZIM notes, and all of them, they have the 2008 AA signy on them. That's what I was just wondering. Are there going to be any? Are they going to have any exchange centers close by Michigan City? Or I live in Gary, so.
The Chicago area, definitely. Yeah, quite a few.
Okay. Well, that was my question for the day.
All right.
And
thank you.
I'm glad. Are you a Purdue fan?
Yes, I am. I'm wearing a Purdue hat right now.
Go Boilermakers. Go Boilermakers.
Yeah. Yep.
All right.
Boiler up. Thanks for the call.
You guys have a lot of camaraderie.
Yep.
Yes, we do. We Hoosiers stick together.
Yeah, we do. Even though we don't really know what a Hoosier is, at least I don't.
I was going to say, what the hell is a Hoosier?
Yep. I mean, I know the official definitions, but within Indiana, depending on where you go, everybody has a different definition of what it means. Yep.
Well, I'm going to stick with Gene Hackman.
There we go. Yep, me too. Love the movie. Thanks for the call.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
You have a great night.
You too.
Okay, Jennifer, let's keep this rolling.
Hi, this is Tricia from up in the Sierras in California. I hear you mention Reno, and it's so frustrating because I'm only a few miles from Reno. And
Reno is our new
I know.
call.
What could I do to expedite? Is there something, I mean, the whole area of Reno is owned, I think, by the Pomo Indians. That's a huge area around it, and everything is an Indian reservation. And all those banks.
Pyramid Lake and all of that. Yeah.
Yes, Pyramid Lake is just breathtaking. I mean, you feel like you're on another planet when you're there. But even Tahoe has always been known to be a portal for extraterrestrials.
Yeah.
And because I think it's the largest alpine lake in the world. Alpine meaning, it's had to be over 6,000 feet, and it's 6,600 and something feet. But I'm just wondering, is there? Can you give me a task? Can I drive down Reno with a loudspeaker?
No, unfortunately, that would be a frustrating trip, right? But just to be honest, but I can tell you, for all of you listening that are big fans and educated on the sovereignty versus admiralty and all of that, do you think that maybe Reno is a locus of activity because it's surrounded by total sovereign lands?
Exactly.
Yep. So.
Well, what about Birmingham, Alabama? I hear there's a lot of stuff going on there too.
We're not focusing on Birmingham.
Pardon me?
Yep.
No, okay.
We're not focusing on Birmingham.
Yeah.
Just Reno.
Reno.
There's multiple areas, but Reno is the key.
Right now.
Can we do some kind of guided meditation tonight on this call about Reno and put all of our, collective energies there?
Energy and focus on Reno and the transitioning happening in Reno. And in fact, you know what, Tricia, I'm gonna go against what Sean just said. If you seriously want to go to Reno and drive around, and Scott just reminded me that on IMing, we're in communication during the show. What I had been guided to do a couple years ago was actually activate the airport.
Activate the airport.
The area, that area. So seriously, if you want to go drive around Reno, go drive around the airport a couple of times and just presence your energy of your I am presence there, and seeing the flow of maybe even just seeing, and I'm actually going to ask everybody right now to really engage with the energy in Reno and just see a great hustle and bustle of private planes coming in and out of the Reno airport, and these are the people that are doing the first, second, and third level of exchanging. And as we collectively unify in this field and this visualization, that we're seeing the energies, even the energies within just that area, because it starts with one area, and then we'll be working in the future to expand it out into other geographical locations, right?
Right, a ripple effect.
It'll have a ripple effect. So that's why Reno is the focus right now. And seeing people even in and around Reno buying their cars, buying the stuff that they have put off for so long because they've been holding out and waiting, and seeing people celebrating, having dinners, and it begins to spread all throughout that area of Reno. Let's just say even 33 miles out in the whole geographical location.
And see the people that have been there for months and months and months thinking this was setting these things up, thinking this was going to happen a long time ago, getting to finally go home to see their families. And they're curiously enough, when you say that about around the airport, a lot of people that I know of that are instrumental in this are staying in hotels right around the airport.
Right around the airport,
and the main exchange country is right next to the airport. Fargo Exchange Center is right next to the airport. Are you there?
So because I think you're cutting in and out.
Well, someone was beeping
in. So that's really interesting information that you're sharing. So this is why it's also important for people to engage with. And Scott just actually sent through a reminder: play happy music, play songs like Farrell, like Happy, and Tonight's the Night, Black Eyed Peas, and really engage, even if after this call, this show, to engage with 10, 15 minutes, 13 minutes of high vibration music, visualizing Reno in a hustle and bustle of activity. And as people are exchanging, their vibration of their heart chakras are activating, they're excited, and that wave is going to be like a heat wave. And it's going to expand and expand and expand. And then we'll be talking throughout the next shows of where we're going to engage from Reno. We'll be moving to another location weeks or a month or so down the track. But trust me that this is just the beginning.
Okay. Well, I think I wrote in the board that if we don't see a major change in the next few weeks, I'm being taken into federal custody and into federal prison on February 3rd. So, yes, I have a vested interest in this happening right away.
Holding space for you for the highest divine good in that situation.
For your highest good. Yep.
All right, Tricia, thank you so much.
Thank you, Tricia.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Jennifer, before we go on to the next call, I think I need to say something here. Okay. Trish asked the question when earlier. She said, "Is there something I can do to short circuit my exchange or to make it go quicker by going around Reno or something?" And that's when I said that would probably be that's not going to do much. I just want to say some information was shared. We driving into Reno is, looking to do an exchange early is not going to happen. It's not going to help.
No,
all right?
No.
So we don't want people converging on Reno and going around and doing all that, because it absolutely, at the level it is there, it may do more harm for you than good. I would just ask people to trust me on that one. Okay? You do not want to go snooping around Reno and starting running into the banks around the airport or anything like that, because what you will do is identify yourself, and I don't think you want that in this particular. But going around and supporting energy, activation, operating from the I am and your heart, absolutely. If you're there, that's great. But please do not try to find a shortcut for your exchange there.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Thank you for saying that, Sean. Absolutely. Yeah. Good.
Okay, it's 7:30.
Right.
We have 14 people in the queue. Our next caller is from 928 area code.
Okay.
Hello, 928.
Hi, this is Misha in Arizona, and I have a little bit of laryngitis, so I won't talk long. I'm not even sure if this is what you had mentioned earlier about trying to get out of hopium and into the knowingness, and I was wanting to kind of touch on that subject a little bit, if I could.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And this is kind of out of the box type stuff that most people are not going to relate to, but I have known since 2007 that I was supposed to be working with children, and a few years ago I found out actually that the children from 2007 that they were talking about was my own children, but they're not my own children from Earth. They're my own hybrid children. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because I've known for a long time that I'm supposed to be getting another place to live in, a ranch. And I know I come from this knowingness that the money is going to be there for this ranch. It's already happened, so I don't hope about it anymore.
Mm-hmm. Great.
So that my children have come through to me in my own writing from the ships, and they know about the ranch. And they talk about what my purpose is to help with the Gaia and to help restore Mother Earth, and that's what the children will be doing.
Right. Yeah, and that is a bit out of the box, and it's okay because
I don't have any other questions for Sean because of my voice and everything, so I'll let somebody else talk.
All right. Is that all you wanted to share?
Yeah, that's all. Thanks, Deb.
Yeah.
Thanks, Misha.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, our next caller is from 707.
Hi, this is Cheryl.
Hi, Cheryl.
Hi, Cheryl.
Hi. Well, part of my question was answered earlier, but I just wanted to say I'm really pleased to find you because I'm passionate about giving back and making a difference, and to know that there's that kind of intention in this group really means a lot to me and my partner. And so one of the things that we're looking to do is to do a foundations and to help people that we know and to help organizations. I personally am really passionate about the rainforest and making sure we have air. But I'm trying to figure out, when we go through this, you answered the question about they're not going to give us the gold back. So for asset protection, what is the best way to do the asset?
Wait. Hold on. I don't know if you heard that correctly. Can you just say that again, what you thought you heard?
That we are not going to get asset-backed currency, that the new flavor money will have the old flavored money if we get currency at the bank or at the exchange. Is that correct?
No, I can answer that. I think maybe the confusion is because and I understand the confusion because there's so much stuff going out around, right? When I was discussing earlier asset-backed currency being the USN versus the USD, that type of thing, I was referring to the actual, the currency that's issued and used by the United States, right? So our currency, our sovereign currency. But I think what you're referring to is new notes, like what's called the multicolored notes and that type of thing that will be issued.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. The new notes will begin to come out. The major kind of confusion around that is, or controversy, as if I might say, is that it was there are some people or camps that believe that when this GCR happens, the Federal Reserve notes, the current notes we have now in our pocket, are going to be useless, like worthless, right? Like one day we wake up and if you got $100 in your pocket, it's worthless. Then you got to get a new multicolored note that says Treasury Reserve note on it, and that'll be the only one that's worked. No, what will happen is the U.S. Now remember, when the U.S. dollar came off of the gold-backed standard many years ago, we did not change notes, right? Nothing changed as far as physical notes in the public or anything like that. But the U.S. dollar was no longer pegged to the gold standard by any. It was completely taken out by Nixon. He put the final blow on it, and so when we go back on the gold standard, it's going to kind of be similar, in my opinion, and from the information I have. So the U.S. dollar will be backed by gold again and assets. That will just happen. Think of it like a safety net underneath, all right? And the old dollar and the gold-backed dollar will reach an equilibrium, and the notes that we have in our pocket are still be dollars. No matter what's printed on them, they're still dollars, and you still will buy things with them like you do any other day. But over time, as you go into a bank and get cash checks or anything like that, or whatever, get money out of an ATM, eventually they'll start to be the new notes, right? So you'll just exchange them like anything else. They'll just go out. The old notes, federal notes, will go out of circulation, and the new notes will just become the dominant, notes that we're all having in our pockets. So now, so it's not like the old, greenbacks that we have right now are going to be useless, and then we only can use the new ones.
Okay, I appreciate that. Right. Thank you. And so my question is that if I want to protect my assets, and you talked about the ways to do that as trusts and corporations and things like that, but initially I don't have that, so I'm leaving it in one of the big four, and they're derivative banks, right? And so how do I best protect my assets? I mean, are they still safe?
Right. Okay. So
or do I need to buy gold?
Yeah, whatever entity you have is not going. Asset protection doesn't mean if a bank fails, you're protected. Asset protection means, in the form of a trust, means people suing you and creditors coming after you. They can't get your money, right? Because a trust, a corporation, no entity will protect you from a bank collapsing, because those entities have their money in a bank, right? Entities have bank accounts just like people do. So we got to be very clear on what. And then when you say asset protection, okay, if for ultimate asset protection, a trust is the vehicle of choice, the instrument of choice, or the entity of choice. Sorry, the entity of choice. However, you mentioned like a corporation. A corporation is really not the most ideal entity for asset protection. Corporations are ideal for doing other things, right? So please do a little research. And if your goal is asset protection, meaning I don't want people, if I get in a car accident and I own a nice car, people can come after me and get my bank money. They can come after my house. They can come after my other assets, because that's exactly what can happen, right? If everything is under one name and in one account. So asset protection, by definition, means if you get in that car accident, all they can do is really go after you for your car insurance, because a trust owns the car, right? So that's how, and they can't get at any other asset like your home or anything like that, right? Corporations, charitable trusts, foundations, those are utilized for other beneficial things as well. It just means a charitable trust is able to give money away and avoid the charity or the gift tax, right? So.
And I definitely want a foundation for the give back work that I want to do and for helping. Yes, absolutely. That's very, very important.
Do some research and understand that you have different goals for your funds, and and I'll just say I'm not a professional tax advisor. I am nothing of that nature. This is my opinion, and this is what I've done.
In your opinion, should I buy gold? Is that a good thing to do?
Well, I'm going to purchase some gold just to hold as a natural, wise choice in diversification, right? So, that'll be just part of a normal diversification, and you would get that kind of advice from a quality wealth manager as well, right? I mean, if you want to diversify, you have so much in cash, so much in physical metal, so much in other investments, right? So, and then you have a balanced, kind of a portfolio. So. A strategy that I've done, and I'll just say what I've done because I've done it, is first and foremost, all my assets will be protected in an irrevocable trust. And from there, the irrevocable trust will open up charitable foundations under the umbrella of the trust. So I'll have foundations, companies, and things like that operating as separate entities that are operating under the trust umbrella. Okay? So you kind of get multiple levels of benefit there.
Thank you.
Okay.
And the other thing, too, is Sean and I actually had talked a week before, right between the holidays, about doing a call that has some professionals brought in to talk more, since there's so many questions about this, and they're valid questions, to talk more about these types of different entities and even just give a list of questions that you should be asking or formulating that you want answers for, even for yourself. So that's one thing. The other thing that I'm going to suggest too is that as we move into this transition over the next month or two, that people take a little bit of time to let the dust settle, and that there's probably going to be changes in regards to the precious metals, the values, and there's I think there's going to, right, Sean, we're going to probably see the precious metals and even different natural assets that are going to fluctuate and have a re-shifting of their valuation. Would you agree?
I would agree with that. Yeah, where the largest amount of disagreement out there comes from is whether gold is going to go up or down in the first little bit after the GCR, right? So, and I can say to anyone out there, the arguments for both it going down for a little while and going up for a little while right after the GCR, they both have merit, in my opinion. When that just means that nobody really knows. And, I'm going to wait a little bit to see how the markets shake out, because we kind of look at it like gold underlying, where gold is going to back the currency. Well, what's really happening is the currency is being pegged to gold, which is the real asset, the real value, right? Currency is just a piece of paper and a digital number. So what that will do to the price of gold, because we also know gold is manipulated even as of today still, right? So when it's set free by the GCR, will gold stabilize and drop a little bit because of its, it's now become a broader standard? Yeah. Or will it dramatically rise in value because it is now unleashed and it's not being manipulated anymore, right? So anyone who says they really know what the price of gold is going to do after the GCR, happens, or after the exchanges are completed, and it's publicly announced, they really don't know. I'd use a lot of discernment, because I talk to a lot of people that know a lot about this stuff, and nobody knows. It's really speculation. So that's good advice, Deb. We got to see what the markets do and things like that. But that being said, I'm purchasing gold just as an anchor, right? It's really, I'm not purchasing it as an investment. I'm not going to buy my gold with the expectation that it's going to go up or down. It's going to be, gold never really loses value, right? So, what happens is the currencies relative to gold are what lose and gain value. So,
and that brings me to my last question, if that's all right, to ask one more question.
Quickly.
They say, I've read that the dinar is actually going to be the best gold-backed currency. I don't actually at this time own that particular kind of currency. Can you open up like a bank account and have like dinar in a bank account or is it better to actually have the physical currency in your hand? And would you go with something that's supposed to be the best gold-backed currency?
Sean?
Was that for you or me?
No, I don't think so. I mean, how can you differentiate between the best gold-backed currency?
Exactly. I would say, how do we even know what that is? Yep.
Oh,
that's
okay.
That to me is an off statement or question.
Okay.
Because the intention of this reset is actually to bring things back into an alignment where there is an across-the-board valuation based on assets and gold for that country, for that currency.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So how do you
So I was just wondering that to be a global citizen, would it be good to have currency bank accounts with currencies of different types?
Oh, see, now you're getting into a whole.
And now you're talking about multiple currency accounts or multi-currency accounts, right?
Right.
Yeah. Well, actually, that's interesting. I answered a question on our site about that exact issue just 2 days ago. My plan right now is, based on what Deb just said and what I know about the GCR. The GCR is happening, it won't happen until the banking environment is safe. So the fact that the currencies are being exchanged means, by definition, that the banks should have reached a safe environment, because that's what was the trigger for letting this go. The other thing is, looking at multi-currency accounts, I was going to be the first one that was going to open a multi-currency account after the exchange, but as of right now, I am not going to do that. The main reason is I believe in diversification, but when I really sit down and think about it and write notes and try to pan this out, I have no idea which currencies are going to stay at the same value or go down a little bit or go up a little bit, because this is a global thing. And I can pick a few, but I would only be guessing. It would be like me picking numbers at a roulette wheel, So I'm going to let things stabilize out a little bit. And I also realized that, a year or two ago when I was planning on doing the multi-currency account, it was because I was very concerned about the U.S. dollar, tanking in value, meaning going way down.
Which is part of the plan back then.
Yep. So, but the dollar may devalue against a few currencies globally, but it's not going to devalue, massive amount. And the reason that can't happen is because if the dollar devalues a significant amount against other currencies, it will bring the global economy into chaos, right? So the architects of the plan do not, it's not part of the plan to drop the U.S. dollar by 50%, right, in terms of its value against other global currencies. It may go down a little bit. Oh, you just heard my dog. So, but I'm not planning on that. There will be some adjustments, but I would, in my opinion, what I'm going to do is I'm going to check the environment after the exchanges, be aware, trust but verify, and if I feel that things are not looking right, then as Deb said, I'm going to take responsibility, and I will bring in some advisors, and I'll do what I think is necessary. But I'm not going to try to do that ahead of time and guessing, because I may guess incorrectly, and that would actually create a problem for me, right? So
that makes a lot of sense. Thank you for that. I appreciate it.
And you know what?
Right.
I just want to expand upon for just a second one of the things that you just said. I'm sorry. Who is this? Is this Cheryl?
Uh-huh.
Okay. You had talked about, you mentioned about being a global citizen.
Uh-huh.
Right?
Right.
And I think that is very important for people to begin to engage with, along with engaging with the perception that you have as a public person versus a new perception, beginning to engage with a new perception and a perspective of yourself, not only as a global citizen, but also as a person of wealth. People of wealth make choices in a very different way. So many of us are going to be moving from the public type of perception or perspective of ourselves to a much more private, wealth-oriented being, as well as expanding, hopefully more people expanding to being a global citizen experience. And I think that would be a really good topic for us to talk about in either this show or one of the other Wake Up Shift is Happening show that I do. The other thing, too, I just want to add that Sean just mentioned the site that we have. You said you answered the question in our site. What Sean is referring to is the community that we, along with Scott and Helen and the whole team, have started. That is, it's a New Earth global community, and we are engaging in daily conversation in that community. And you can find how you actually get to that is through the wakingupwithdeb.com website, and then you click on the navigation button called Community. And if you haven't gone to that site yet, my site, wakingupwithdeb.com, you'll see that there's also a free gift to download, and which is a Melchizedek Flower of Life, Heart Chakra Flower of Life activation that I brought forth. And interestingly enough, and this is how Sean and I actually met, I was looking for somebody to edit video into the activation and the communication prior to the activation, and Sean is the one that edited. That's how we met.
Oh, wow.
So that's a free gift to humanity, and it's a really powerful heart chakra activation with the flower of life, and it's one of the foundational elements that we're working with in order to expand the presence of this vibration on the planet. So that's a free gift. If anybody wants to engage with that, you go to wakingupwithdeb.com and download that.
Thank you very much.
And thank you.
Okay.
All right.
I'll let the next person
Bye-bye.
ask their question. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Yeah, thank you.
It's
Jennifer.
It's 7:55. Our next caller, area code 403.
Yeah, hello. My name is Wes from Canada, Alberta.
Hi, Wes.
Hi, Wes.
How you guys doing? Hey, I have a question. We don't hear much about anything up for our exchange centers or any banking when this thing flies. And I was just kind of wondering, would there be like an 800 numbers along with for different countries, or what's happening with that?
Okay. Well, I will acknowledge the truth in your statement in that no information comes out from Canada at all.
Okay.
And I've even said this to Deb. Isn't it funny why there's really the locus of information and discussions all comes out of the U.S. and I have friends all over the world. Okay, with the exception of the platforms in Hong Kong and some in Singapore and some activity in London, but that's banking activity, not to do technically with the RV like exchanges of the exchanges.
Right.
But you're right. I can't understand why there isn't any information or any sources or anything coming out of Canada. The only thing to answer your question, the only thing I can say is stuff I'm sure we've all heard on other calls and things like that, is that there are connections in Canada. The major banks there are a part of this. It's kind of considered North America.
Right.
It's not really. It's a North American event. In other words, they're not differentiating between Canada and the U.S. other than do you have a bank account in Canada or in the U.S. kind of a thing, right? So I would just I'll directly say I do not know, but I have heard things in the background during some of my source conversations and whatnot that Canada will be participating, but whether it's going to be with 800 numbers or how, I really don't know. I would imagine that's pretty much the way you got to have a way to make an appointment, right? So and where those appointments will be,
kind of hard to find. One other quick question is, like, if we can't find a place up here, when we're crossing the line with it, with our currencies, it wouldn't be a big issue to exchange down in the States, eh?
If you,
I don't know.
I mean, that's the detail. Yeah, I don't know that about that. Could they transfer the money after your exchange to your Canadian bank? Honestly, I don't know
how that's going to work.
I don't know that level.
Okay.
Okay, I'm going to just jump in here for once. In regards to that, that might be, there's two things, because taking it across the border physically, that's not a possibility. You got Homeland Security, all that crap, right? The other thing that might behoove you to look into is some sovereignty and some offshore accounts, that if you are able to do something in the States or somewhere, right, that you actually have that kind of information at your fingertips that you could engage with as well. That's my thought.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Take care.
You too.
Okay, what time are we at?
We're at the top of the hour, and we have how many more people in the queue? Jennifer, I think we have 1, 2. Yep, we have about 8. Do you want to keep going for a couple more minutes?
I think we can take a couple more callers because, I'm going to have a hard stop in a little while.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay,
so Jennifer, are you still on the line? We may have lost her. We're not hearing you. You might be muted. All right, well then I'm just going to go ahead and say we have a caller with the area code 334. Are you there, 334?
Yes. Good evening, everyone.
Hi.
Yes. My question is, I know the gentleman, I forgot what his name was. He said that we're entering the week of the process, beginning tomorrow or Tuesday. But I was wondering, when did he think General 64 would enter the picture? Towards the end of next week or the week after?
Well, let's see. I don't do dates. I did say earlier in the call when I was giving my general update that I am highly expectant that the major, the major exchanges, starting at the highest level groups could begin as early as tomorrow. I'm very expectant for the first part of this week, the first half, for that to start. Then there are mid-level groups, private groups that execute shortly thereafter, or kind of in parallel. And then comes the broadest group, the biggest group, which is the G64 internet group, whatever it's called, right? Which involves millions of people. And so whether that will begin, whether the G64 level will begin this week or not, all I can say is that it could. There's certainly a possibility that it could. However, it could easily go into next week at that level. But really, nobody knows that schedule, right? How much time there is in between each group, whether there's a designated time or whether they need to process so many things and they take it for as long as it takes till the high-level group goes and then they start the next, or do they kind of stagger them, or that information just is not available. I think so. There's a chance G64 could get notifications this week, but I would not be surprised if it could extend into next week as well. I mean, I really don't have a direct answer for that. I don't know. All I know is that the process has started and it's unfolding, and we expect the final, funding stuff to where the rubber hits the road to begin this week. And then it's just how many days does it take to get all the way through the groups.
Okay.
I'd also like to say, woohoo, do the wave.
I'm cool with that.
Because what we're talking about is so actually freaking exciting.
Yep. Yep.
So, oh my goodness. Okay.
Well, we've all been waiting so long. Oh. I even kind of consider myself jaded at some point.
I know.
So it's, but I can say for sure we have never been where we are right now. We have never been where we are in this process right now. I mean, it's not if it's going to happen, when it's going to happen. It has started. It absolutely has started, and it's just going through the logistical process. We hit Christmas. We hit New Year's. That type of thing. But many of us are expecting to see the floodgates finally come online, this week in a tangible way. So. And
I'm not going back to Reno within the next week because I love cold weather below zero.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't care your money, Jeff.
And it's a long flight from Sydney to Reno.
Yep.
So I just want to shift the vibration on all this because we're really in an exciting time right now.
Yeah, it's extremely exciting. Yep. I just have to be careful how I answer those date questions.
I know.
I'm sorry I couldn't answer you more direct, sir, on that one.
Thank you so very much.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks
for the
you.
Call. Boy, I wish I did know the date. Man, I wish I knew exactly the date.
I know, right?
Be a much shorter call, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Our next caller is Anonymous. Anonymous, you raised your hand.
Hello? If you signed in as Anonymous.
Yes, I heard her.
What's your first name?
I'm Kenna.
Hi, Kenna.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I didn't know my Skype is anonymous. And I apologize. I'm a newbie, and I'm not clear on how to formulate my question. But my question is, if you're not in a group, if you don't know what G64 is, if you don't have any, foreign currencies, is this only for investment, or is there any gifting program?
Okay.
Okay, can I make a suggestion?
Yes.
For the sake of time? Because you really are newbie.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And because we're only going to take a couple more callers, my suggestion is that you go and you register for the community.
I just did that today. I did that today.
Okay, congratulations. Okay. So then go to Sean's section, which is the GCR weekly section at the very least, and plow through those questions and answers. Sean, that's my suggestion first off the bat.
Yeah. If you're Kenna, if you're already on the site, just click the tab that says GCR questions for Sean, and there will be at least, I think there's 4 weeks now worth of blog questions and answers there, and it will probably educate you pretty quick. But to answer your question really fast, this is not. It's an investment technically because you buy currency, right? You own dinar, you own Vietnamese dong, or you own Zim, or you own whatever. And so it's not like an investment club or anything like that, right? So you own the currencies. You're going to get a notification, or you're going to know when to go exchange. You're going to make an appointment, and you're going to take your currencies in, and you're going to exchange. It's really as simple as that. I think Dinarland tends to way overcomplicate it. And also, if you are watching the GCR stuff on the internet, like our site and things like that, you're going to know when the time comes. Okay?
Okay, thank you.
Start there.
So I don't have any dinars, but
start with educating yourself and then go from there.
I'm listening to you.
Yeah, because we're not here to promote you going and doing anything.
Right.
I appreciate everything you're doing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, okay, we have 11 more people on.
Let's do 3 more.
Okay. Area code 485.
Wait. Hold on 1 second. Jennifer?
Yes?
What if you take those next 3 from the bottom up?
Okay.
Just to mix it up a little bit.
All righty.
Okay.
Area code 781.
Hello, how you doing?
Hi.
Good. This is, I'm pretty well up on most of what's going on in the world, especially with the currencies. And at one point in time, they were talking about different rates, the different countries, contract prices or whatever, based on the participation. Because as you know, I think the U.S. spent roughly, $5 to $7 trillion since 2003. And, of course, they want to get paid back and yada-yada-yada. Now, other countries were involved, like Canada and the U.K. somewhat. I had been told that the rate that they would get would be commensurate with their participation. Do you have any knowledge of that at all?
Yeah, that information goes back. You've been in this for a while, I can tell.
You got that right.
Yeah, that became. I'm a 6.5-year, veteran myself here now. Although there's many older people than that in a long time. The original plan, what you stated, in my opinion, is pretty accurate of how the RV of particularly the Iraqi dinar was going to be played out, but then the Iraqi dinar was absorbed into the bigger global currency reset, which is what we're talking about here. And so that kind of changed all of those issues. So I'm going to speculate, but I would speculate to say that those ratios of different countries based on the coalitions and, back in the Iraqi invasion day and that type of thing, I think that's been pretty much trumped by the overall global backing of asset currencies and the global currency reset and the global financial reset. So I'd be very surprised if that were the case. I think the rates are going to be the rates around the world, and because it's basically the RV of all currencies, and they will all be relative to each other based on gold and assets. So I think it'll be pretty much a global event and not divided up because of the Iraqi war.
Music to my ears.
All right. Yeah, I'm pretty confident with that, but we won't know exactly till it happens.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, 2 more.
Okay, area code 415.
Hello?
Yes.
Hi. This is Peyton calling in from California.
Hi, Peyton.
Hi.
Hi. First, I just want to say how much I appreciate the way that you guys are holding this with such an amazing, high vibration. It's really a gift.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I just have a simple, practical question about. I have my banking right now at a local credit union. And I'm wondering if when I go in to do the exchange, if I can have the money transferred to my credit union account or if it needs to be an account at the, one of these big banks that's involved.
All right, again, if the exchange, we don't know all the details. I don't believe anybody knows except the architects of the plan. But the exchange center is either going to allow you to is going to be representative of multiple banks, or you'll make an appointment and if there's multiple exchange centers in your area and with a particular bank, you pick one, right? And if it's not your bank, you have a credit union, so it may or may not participate, or it might, right? So we just don't know.
Okay.
You would exchange, and then you could have it transferred to wherever you want.
Okay. And do credit unions also handle trusts?
Trusts are set up with attorneys, not with banks.
Not through the bank.
Oh, right. Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much.
That. If anyone listening to this thinks that the bank has any affiliation with trust setups, that is not the case.
Yep. Your wealth manager may have a team which includes trust attorneys, but they're not bankers. Yep.
Okay, got it.
All right.
Okay, thanks a lot.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Okay, drum roll. This is our last call for this caller for this show, this call.
Woohoo! Area code 518.
Good evening. My name is Don from New York. How are you?
Good. Hi, Don.
I'm great. Thanks for the information. I'm just kind of new at this. I have some currencies ready to go. Do I need to go on your website to find out to be notified? Who notifies me to where to go to get an exchange when it happens?
No, I would say, first of all, yeah, our website is not a notification website. I would want no one listening to this to believe that, but we certainly will know about it and we'll talk about it on our site. But we're not an official channel or communication outlet for the appointments or exchanges. We're a private site, and we're creating a community for what we're going to do after we have all exchanged to engage and build a better world for all of us. But if you're paying attention, if you read Dinar recaps, if you go on the other types of sites that are on the internet, I always suggest this, although we are not affiliated with Dinar Recaps or any other site at all whatsoever. I would subscribe to dinarrecaps.com for their daily email, because it's long been reported by Dinar Recaps themselves and other places that when the appointment times come for the internet group, that they would likely be an outlet for emailing the appointment information. But you'll also get that as well by, if you listen to TNT or you're a member there and that type of thing. So
listening to what? I'm sorry, what was that? Listening to what?
If you're listening to, like, say, the weekly TNT calls, if you know what that is.
TNT calls? I've seen them, yes.
Yeah. So if you just stay connected with the internet, you're going to find out.
Okay, so dinarrecap.com, and put my email in there and just wait.
Well,
you'll get emails every day from them, an email every day. But when the time comes, you'll get a special email. Supposedly, I'm not saying that I know that for a fact. That's what they've said. But there will be other outlets. It will go viral around Dinar land, right? Via internet and.
But in regards to Dinar Recap,
I'm getting anxious. Very good. Thank you very much.
Okay. In regards to Dinar Recaps, you can also so to the caller that was just on, you don't just have to wait for the emails that come through, you can also go on Dinar Recaps and click on their blog and follow all of the different postings that they have on there on a daily basis.
Right, but that will not be where the not be where the appointment information is, because the information I have is the appointments themselves cannot be publicly viewed on the internet. They can't be publicized or published. Right. It has to be transmitted via text or Twitter or email, but it can't be just out there for anybody to see on the general. Because remember, 99.9% of the public do not know anything about this, right?
Right.
So,
yeah, I know. Yeah. So it'll go viral then.
Yeah, it'll go within Dinarland, within the Dinarland sites. Yeah, because people are registered with many Dinarland sites, and it'll go around. Yep.
Very good. Okay, thanks again.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Okay, so as we're wrapping it up, one of the things that I would just like to add is that with the community that we've started, is we're going to be, by next week's show, providing to the people in that community an opportunity for you to engage in a very organized way and share with us what your passion is, what your heart's desire is in regards to different subjects, I would say, or aspects of life, that we're going to take on another role of organizing people through summits and different ways, so that as we move forward in this transition, that it's not haphazard. And one of the guidance, the elements of guidance that I keep receiving is that precision is important, and that we don't make this, that we take this opportunity to be precise in the way that we create this transition, and that we organize, and that we really affiliate ourselves, we connect the dots, we network, and we bring this forward in a way that is very, not only just organized, but is well thought out. That we don't need to be recreating the wheel, we don't need to have people over doing the same things, that really we could actually be spreading things out in a global way, and that we're very, I keep saying the word, but just that we're very organized about it. So if that appeals to you, then that would be another reason to come on board with our community site. And I know, Sean, last week when you did the show by yourself, you brought up about this not being a no lurker zone. Can you just touch upon that?
Yeah, it's going to be a no lurker zone. Yeah, it's going to be a no lurker zone. Yeah, if anyone doesn't know what a lurker is, it's when you join a community blog site and you kind of just don't participate. Right? You're quiet, right? You read. That's not an insult to anybody. It's just that our site is about building and utilizing our newfound funds, proceeds, and what we have for all those who are going to engage and want to engage in humanitarian activities. We're going to organize that in a way where we can get people together, and we're going to vet out, if you're into new technologies, we're going to vet technologies and see what we're doing there. If you're into agriculture, all of those different types of things, orphans, whatever, we're going to try to organize so we can make the most effective use of our paying it forward, of our living from the hearts and giving from the hearts and that type of thing. So as you say, Deb, we do not reinvent the wheel. So our site is going to be all about engagement, right? So and we're going to ramp up after the GCR, right? So
we already have over 300 members, and we're also going to do a bit of a weeding out process, because we're really, I'm sure you can probably hear it in our voices, we're really intentional. We're very much committed to holding a very clear space and for everything that we're creating and manifesting, and that there's a very powerful team around us, and that what we are doing and how we're engaging with this and being very proactive is, again, not haphazard. It's very organized in the strategy that we're laying out.
Yep.
All right, Jennifer.
I just want to send everybody the absolute best wishes for great love and great happiness in the new year. and I know that it will be our best year yet.
Absolutely.
I totally agree.
And
it's going to be an amazing, amazing time.
Yep. I am excited.
All right. So until next week, and if you're not on...
You keep saying next week. I may not be available next week on particular Sunday. All right, if you know what I'm saying.
Are the Bahamas calling, Sean? Are the Bahamas calling your name?
Yeah. So, but no offense to anybody or anything, but I kind of want to be busy, and I won't be able to do a call next week. But we'll do more calls for sure. But by next Sunday, I'm thinking maybe not. All right. So.
All right. So here's what I'll say to that is that on the Waking Up with Deb, it's the site wakingupwithdeb.com. All of the updates are all there. So if you go to that site, my site there, which is our site, but basically we'll have whether we're doing the show or not. So that's one of the places that will
on
keep
the
you
community
abreast.
button, right? Yeah.
Not just the community, but even on the home page of the website.
Oh, you have the event page there, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
the
exactly.
Activities. Got it.
Exactly. All right. So thank everybody. Thank you guys for being here, for being present. Sean, Jennifer, thank you for all the guests and everybody who's been here, the callers, great questions. We look forward to engaging you with our next time call.
Thanks to all the team. Thanks to all the listeners. And let's just hold the space and let's I can't wait for tomorrow to start and let's see what happens.
Yes,
all right?
Exactly.
All right.
Lots of love, everybody. Lots of excitement.
All right. Good night. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Stories become closer. Closer is where we belong. Is anybody listening? Does anybody hear what I say? Is my body dreaming? Are we going the same way? I believe we can turn this world around. I believe we can mend what ties we break. I believe we can turn this world with open minds and willing hearts, saying I will reach for the all inside of me. Now.
To the host dashboard. So there's calls coming in and on the host dashboard.
Really?
Yeah. And
well, we know we're on the radar, Deb. We know that for a fact. So
yes.
Yep. All right.
So in fact, Jennifer, are you still there? Because I'm not showing Jennifer on the dashboard right now, and I am in Skype communication with her. And we've definitely got, I'm going to say intruders.
I was muted, Deb, and so if anyone comes in, I just put them on hold. I'm not sure if they can hear us or not, but they most certainly can't participate that way.
Okay, so I'm going to just say this. We actually have 3 new people now showing up on the dashboard as a host. And so if you have utilized a PIN number other than 450-218, you're going to continuously be put on hold, and we're actually calling forth for you to be, if it's intended, if you're actually intending to intrude on that part, the host part of the call, then we're just going to ask for assistance in all dimensions here to exclude you. And we're going to continue to be putting you on hold because this call here is intended for the highest divine good. And that everything that we are creating as a foundation, everything that we are bringing forth is for the betterment of humanity. And we're very clear about who we are. We're also very clear about what we are stirring up. And we're holding in our field through our I Am presence very powerfully that there are no obstructions. Sean, do you want to add to that?
Yeah, I'm just going to say there's a lot more of us than there are of you. So and your time is pretty much over.
Over.
I'll just short and direct. All right, so we have a few more minutes before we open the calls.
But let's go ahead and
why don't you preface our topic, Deb? All right.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and open up the Q&A, Jennifer.
Okay.
And I think we're just going to need to be diligent about watching what is showing up here. Okay, folks, so we've just opened up the Q&A line, and again, we really appreciate your participation. We also appreciate your integrity for why you're showing up, how you're showing up, and calling forth right now for each of you to be very vigilant in the vibration that you're holding for this GCR. Now, we did the last show call from Reno, and Sean and I were guided, and the whole team of us that are working together we are still working with the energy of Reno. So if you did see the design element, you'll see that it has on there Focus Reno 2016. There's a reason for that, and it's because the energy of that geographical location, so we'd like to actually ask all of you to focus your energy on exchange centers and even post-GCR experiences in the Reno location. And if you're not familiar with Reno, maybe look it up, just Google it, see a couple of images, get to know it as a geographical location, that we're holding a very strong field of intention for the GCR experience to activate and anchor into final fruition in that geographical location. Because once that occurs there, it is the domino effect for the rest of the world. We believe and what we're being told. So focus your energy on Reno, and through the vibrations of I am love, I am light, I am gratitude. And I apologize if that gets a little bit too spiritual or esoteric for you guys, but that's actually what Sean and I and this whole team of people, Jennifer and the whole entire team, Scott, Helen, Nadia, all the people that are a part of the, we are in a new year. In the Gregorian calendar, we're in a new year. And Sean, last week you guys covered a tremendous amount of ground in the conversations and the dialogue, the questions, etc. And now what we would like to do is hopefully most of you have had your answers, your questions asked and answers into the pragmatic GCR aspect of things and exchanges. So, Sean, do you want to jump in here and just share?
Yeah, why don't we start out like we do, and let's update from this last week, and we can tie into where we. Because what we like to do, right, Deb, is we go 1 week to the next, and we don't go backwards, right? We're always moving forward.
Springboard.
Right? So, yep. And so the show 2 weeks ago, we talked about a lot of details because effectively 2 weeks ago, the logistics of the exchange process started. We reported quite a bit on that. And that it still holds true, and it was what do I want to say, paused or there were things happening, but from the exchange level side, obviously, as I discussed 2 weeks ago, very unlikely that things are going to happen at very many levels where we're all concerned over the Christmas, New Year's holiday, right? I said they could, but it was unlikely. So here we are. We're after New Year's. No big issues. The process, is continuing. And then last week we talked about things like, entities, trusts, paying it forward. Are you prepared for this, and how the process would likely work, because nobody knows until it actually happens, right? But there's quite a bit of information that we made sense of. And then so we're springboarding this week into, because of where we stand right now, it's time to really be thinking about post-GCR, what you're going to do, with the transfer of wealth, because that's really, as we've been saying all along, Deb, that's where the real work starts, right? If we thought it was hard waiting and doing all this. Yep. So in a nutshell, for those listening, we are now coming off of the New Year's weekend, holiday weekend. There was not a lot of things to talk about from this past week because, quite honestly, most people are on vacation holiday. We continue to maintain that as of over a week ago, the funds that needed to be in place. I went into an analogy last week about imagine a gigantic barrel of water, a big bucket, and then there's spigots and faucets around that, and that goes into other buckets, and that is continuing to confirm the big bucket is there. We were waiting for that big bucket to have water put in it, the funds, weeks ago, but that's there. What we are coming into now is for the next level, now that the holiday weeks are over. We're expecting tomorrow being the first full-fledged kind of like New Year back. Everyone's back at work. The banks, activities, particularly the high-level bankers, your VPs and your senior VPs and the CEOs and the presidents, and, they've got many of them, are coming back in, and these funds will begin to go active down at the next level. And, of course, those high-level banking senior people, whether it's from region to region and all the way up to the corporate global level of executives, these things need to be signed off as they're being transferred into the next level. And that would be for the highest level groups beginning as soon as tomorrow. Is the information.
The back-end team that are very, very powerfully holding a field that you guys are now, if you choose, through your free will, to be a part of. And so now that we are in 2016, it's important for us to move into the vibration of knowingness beyond hope, but into the vibration of knowingness that this is a done deal, and start engaging with all of the details of our individual experiences and our plans of after GCR, post-GCR experiences. And that there are people here that are part of this team that are, as we speak, and as you speak your vision even, they are, and we have activated a very powerful unified field. And Sean, I'm going to actually turn it back over to you to share maybe what you've experienced in this field for your own personal transformation, just to further anchor the validity of what we're up to.
Okay. I usually talk about this in kind of technical layman's terms.
So I don't mean to put you on the spot, right?
No, yeah, well, you kind of did. All right, but anyway, that's okay. Yeah, we all know that. I always liken this specifically to if you go to a major sporting event or a concert or something of that nature. I don't think anyone can deny that when you're in that type of an environment, that you feel the energy. People always say the energy in the crowd was incredible, the energy of the performance, the energy. That energy is absolutely real. It's not something you're just feeling, kind of like, oh, that's just what it is. We don't really think about that too much. But when people are unified and focused on a singular thing in groups, and the larger the group, the more powerful, obviously, it's a combination of, you get the excitement. It comes from your heart, your chest area. We call it the heart chakra. And also your thoughts engage with it as well. And when the mind and the heart combine, you are actually moving things at a quantum level. You're experiencing that type of thing. And anyone, as I always say, look up basic. There's a great thing online in books called Quantum Mechanics or Quantum Theory for Dummies. And it explains things very well, and that actually is what we're experiencing here. So we are all unified, singularly focused on this first event, which is the GCR, and particularly the exchanges. And then the energy that will be released after the exchange, and we start doing post-exchange activities, humanitarian, building a new planet, correcting all the things that we feel need to be corrected, and there's a lot. We're engaging with that energy, and from my personal experience and being involved from the beginning, actually it's only 2 or 3 months, Deb, we've known each other.
Yeah. Well, actually 4 or 5 now. It's gone fast.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm in a time warp. So anyway, as I've engaged with Deb on some of the more what I call quantum level, and Deb will say spiritual or esoteric or whatever you want, it's all the same. And the energy levels that we've been able to raise, and particularly the experiences we had in Reno as we focus on that, and anybody who has been involved with the GCR and the RV for the last couple of years or even a year, we all know that Reno is a massive focal point for everything that's happening. You know, the release of the major funds that will all end up eventually in our accounts. So the energy level that we experienced going into Reno was, I would just call it a level 1. But then as we began
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Deb and Sean show for the GCR, Everything GCR, and The Great Shift. And today we have a show. This is our show 6. The date, the dates are in the States, it's January 3rd, and in Australia is January 4th. Today's show title is Transitioning from Final Countdown of RV Exchanges to New Earth Creation Details. And Sean, you want to say hi?
Hello, everyone.
So that is Sean Michael, and I am Deborah Peach, and we are here today live with you. We're going to be opening up the call lines. A little bit of housekeeping is that if you do come on the queue, the Q&A queue, that you speak your first name, and for privacy reasons, please keep your last name private. And if you want to share where you're calling from, that is great as well. To be aware that this recording will be shared publicly, and that anything that you share is basically out there in the public. So have your own discernment regarding that. And that as Sean, you had an awesome rockin' show last week.
Yeah, it went pretty well. We had a lot of great callers, a lot of good questions, and we went for 3 hours. Wow.
You did. You did a marathon.
Yep.
So I worked him while you were gone, Deb.
What's that?
I said I worked him while you were gone.
It sounds like it.
Yes, you did, Jennifer. Yep.
I got a text message from him afterwards, and he was like, "I'm whipped." Maybe he actually meant I'm wiped out. All right. So as we get started here on the show here, we really do want you guys to engage, and that there are quite a few callers on already live, and that we're really appreciative that you guys are participating, that you're engaging, and that as you are preparing yourself to be the post-GCR being, that you are engaging with all those details, not only the pragmatic details, but also the visioning. And that's what we really would like to begin to move into with this call today. And if you're a part of the community that we have started, and what we're now having people really engage with over the last 3 days, is to share your vision of what you as an individual is intending to create and to engage with, and then also what you are holding space for this planet. Because we know that this GCR is a representation of a transition for the evolution of humanity, and that with the redistribution of the money, the redistribution of wealth and prosperity, that there are many of us that have been, I will say, waiting in the wings and in the sidelines in order to bring forth our life purpose and our missions and our heart's desires. And that the more that we engage as a collective of this GCR occurring, that and the post and the after GCR, after the exchanges and whatnot, that the more that we will actually anchor that. And so, Sean, oops, we have a little bit of background noise.
Or this area? Oh, that's not for me.
Is that you?
Nope.
That's a 619 number. I'm not sure who that will be. Okay, so as we kick off the show here today, let's engage with the energy that
I have, but we don't know till we know. And that's going to be a process. It's going to take days, right, because it's a lot. And so with each passing day, more funds, they start tomorrow, will continue to move into the different things. And then we are looking at the mid-level groups, which would be I can't go into the details of those either, but in terms of the logistics, mechanics, who, what, and where. But the mid-level groups then should get the word, and there'll be some likely some travel involved for those members and that type of thing. And then we move to the ultimate, largest, broadest-based group level, which would be the Intranet, G64, Wells Fargo type of thing. What we know that it's very, very, very likely that this all starts, meaning the money getting there to the first level, high level groups starts as early as tomorrow, right? What we don't know is how long it will take between each level of groups. It could be a couple days. It could be a little longer than that. And it even could be a different number of days between the high level, mid level, and then it could be another number of days between the mid level and then the broadest level, which is the internet group type of thing. And then the final
Sean,
thing would
can
be
you
the
hear
public.
Me?
Yep. Yes, I can.
Oh, good. Okay, cool. Sorry, keep going because something weird was going on this end. Okay, keep going.
There's always something weird going on all over the place, right? So, yeah. And then, of course, the last step after, in my opinion, and from the information and research I've gathered, would be the public announcements, which is more like your CNBC, Wall Street Journal, Reuters, Bloomberg, where they actually mention asset-backed currencies or a change. It will not be called a global reset. It'll be, oh, by the way, we're just getting in that currencies are being announced as asset-backed, and there's, but I expect that public level to be sometime after. It could even be towards the end of the month. It could be in February. That's the biggest kind of confidential point of all. When will that public side, when we're really knowing and the whole world wakes up and realize and says, hey, the fiat system, what's going on? What's happening to it, right? So we're very, very optimistic for this week, bottom line, and we'll take it day by day. But from where we stand right now, I'm fully expecting, as are many others of my colleagues and contacts and whatnot, that we're going to actually see that physical evidence that the funds have made it down to the next level, which is where members actually of the higher level groups and then on down actually can see, right? What I call spendable cash, right? So, and then it's just a matter of time from paymasters, how long it takes to get to the members. But that's all internal, with the members itself. So, so we're looking good for a good week. There's not much more to say, Deb. There was
Well, okay, so here's what I would like to switch gears to, is that we have some kind of weird things happening over, I'm watching the dashboard for the call, and we have some weird things going on. So what I'm going to actually ask is for the team of people that are on the call now, that you guys know who you are, and I would just like to clear the field right now of any obstructions, any interference, any projections, anything that anyone that is actually coming on the line that is not intending for the highest divine good to be revealed, and that, because we've got, there seems to be access